my name's Anne Marie Leahy, and I work in the Career Services Center at Santa Monica College. And in order to help prepare you for the world of work in cosmetology, I want to share with you some best practices for creating a resume. So the cosmetology industry works a little bit different than most industries when it comes to finding a job. You need to think about the kind of work you want to do, the part of town you want to work in, the kind of clientele you want to work on. Do you want to work in a high-end salon and specialize in certain areas like eyelash extensions or hair extensions or coloring? Do you want to specialize in men's services or women's services? So cosmetologists are really little mini business owners wherever they go. So depending on the direction you decide to go in, there are many avenues available for finding work. Google is always a good one. You can start by Googling and looking at salons in the particular area you think you want to work in. It is also really, it's not uncommon for applicants to show up at a salon, not during the busy time, right? So during a non-busy work hours. So not a Saturday for sure. But you would show up looking your best hair, best makeup, best clothes, with a resume in hand and ask to speak to a hiring manager or just try and drop off the resume. You can always call ahead, but sometimes if you just show up, that works out if it's not a busy time. Of course, you can always look on websites like LinkedIn and Glassdoor and set up alerts for job notifications for the particular title that job title you're looking for. But because this is a very social and visual industry, showing up in person is generally not a bad idea unless the job application, if you see a job description, that unless it tells you not to. But sometimes they don't post the job description, so that's why showing up in person can be okay. And that's where cosmetology is really different from other industries, because you can't do that in other industries. You can't just show up with your resume in hand. You would just submit it online. Another important point, though, to remember is that most cosmetologists start out in their field as either trainees or assistants. Very rarely does anyone start working on clients immediately because they need to build their experience. You learn so much in school to get you ready, but there's so much more to learn still. Little nuances and specialties. It's like you don't know what you don't know until you know sometimes. So it's great to be able to be taken in as an apprentice or in a salon that will provide additional training for you. It is not uncommon that an employer will ask you to bring in models to demonstrate your skills before allowing you to work on clients, right? So they want to see a demo of your work live and in person. And most employers do like to see that you have, they want to see that you have the education as well. And they want to see that you have good customer service skills, because customer service is everything in this industry. So there are some basic rules for a resume, some general guidelines. You don't need to list every job you've ever had. The resume should be one page. You should review your resume for proper spelling, punctuation, and grammar. And your experience should be listed starting with the most recent and ending with the longest ago. Experience over 10 years old can be excluded. If you're submitting your resume online, you should send it as a PDF. And resumes do not include pictures or personal information such as height, weight, or marital status. So at this early stage of your career, you should definitely include your classroom work on your resume so they know what you have experience with. In addition to highlighting the courses you've taken, I would also recommend that maybe you start photographing your work and start storing it on your portfolio of work, because this is a great way to both showcase your work and to attract new customers. So let's go ahead and take a look at resume examples so we can see how people have outlined their experience and help us think about how we can highlight our own experience. So first and foremost, it's important to have your contact information, your name, phone number, city, state, email address, and portfolio links easy to find on your resume. Of course, you also want to have your education displayed, because there's a lot of value in being a current student. And Then we also have a summary section and a skills section, which is a great way to highlight your experience and your particular like area of interest, like what you're interested in doing. As far as your experience, of course, you're going to need to list your license to work in the industry because you do need to have passed the state examination in order to work on clients. And so you need to include that. And as I mentioned, employers in this industry are very interested in customer service and in sales. So if you have customer service and sales experience, even if you haven't had it in this industry yet, you can put that experience because once you know how to sell something, you can sell it, whether it's a beauty product or a shirt or food or whatever it is. So anytime you can speak to customer service or sales, that's great. And again, you'll want to include your experience just within the last 10 years, not longer ago than that. And the one thing that's kind of weird is with the bullet points, they always start with an action verb. So it's kind of it's like caveman speak. You don't really put it in full sentences. Like we have here: offered basic manicures, pedicures, and gel nails, consistently upsell services and exceed sales goals. So these are like ways that you can kind of highlight your skills. And even if you're doing those things in your salon practice in school, you can include your class salon experience and talk about what you did on the floor there. So that counts. People don't think about that, but that absolutely counts as experience. The other thing that I will point out is, so the summary. So this and skills, right? So this particular resume is focused on a cosmetologist being full service, right? So the summary, it's not about what you want, it's about what you have to offer. So this is a Santa Monica cosmetology student with extensive experience in all areas of the beauty industry, refreshing their hairstyling skills to transition to hair and barbering focus with the ability to provide full service, right? So it's just a summary of everything they have to offer. That's all you would be putting there. And if it's makeup, you would put the focus on makeup and your makeup experience and your desire to if it's special effects makeup or special occasions makeup or whatever it is, you can highlight that there. And then the skills would just support that, right? So you would talk about the various specialties you have within makeup. So for this one, it's because it's full service, we talk about hair cutting, lash application, eyebrow tinting, manicures, pedicures, and body waxing. That's full service. So these are totally customizable for whatever area you want to go into, but this is just to give you an example. This resume is actually for the same student, but because they're applying for a different role in the cosmetology industry, they're applying for lash specialists. The summary and the skills section are different. Also, it's a different version of a resume where the first one, the skills were outlined on the top. This one, the skills are outlined in the right-hand column. So both are completely fine. And this tends to be a very popular format. And it's all, again, completely customizable to what you want to showcase. The skills that they need, that they're asking you to have, are what you're going to focus on, right? So depending on what the job description is asking for, that will tell you what you want to highlight on your resume. So I just want to let you know that you do have options when thinking about how you want to present yourself to employers. I did mention the action verb is how we start the bullets on the resume. So to help you brainstorm, I've included a list of action verbs and also a link to a website that actually categorizes the action verbs even further. So like led a project, and then it gives you a bunch of action verbs, increased sales, it gives you a bunch of action verbs. So it's kind of helps you just start the brainstorming process, honestly. So another question that often comes up in cosmetology industry is how to find print or commercial work. So to be honest, very few stylists work in this area. There are several pathways to secure work in these areas. Networking and luck are some of the main ways people get these chances. Many production companies reach out to agencies to staff their productions on a project basis. So these agencies are really, they're not for beginners. You're not going to start out in this area. To be registered with these agencies, you need to have an all-star portfolio. Some other ways people find their way into this path is by becoming product reps. So if you work at a spa or salon and they have, Wella products, for example, and you end up doing a lot of sales, your sales are really high for Wella and you love the product. You can start, representing them for various, trade shows and product demos and things like that. And then that can lead to you representing them for print campaigns. And then they may have a celebrity representative that you work on. So that's one path as well. So either just growing within the salon as a product rep or signing on with an agency. For example, Maybelline Cosmetics may send you to work on a celebrity studded event to showcase their product, right? And that may open the door to celebrity and print work. Or you may have a celebrity that sits in your chair one day. But that's not typically how that happens. But again, your work and your attitude, your work has to be fast and good, and your attitude has to be exceptional. It has to be very professional, be very precise with your work, and have an attitude that is not without complaint, right? Always problem solving. So just wanted to let you know a little bit about that. Also, people sometimes ask about working in film. And again, this is very few stylists work in this area. And many of the jobs are union jobs. So just for information about working on set or becoming a union hairstylist, I've just included some references and some websites that you can check out. And just something to point out, there's always, pluses and minuses to every job. So the hair and makeup team are generally the first people scheduled to be on set. So if you don't like early mornings, like 4 a.m. Or 3 a.m., and then sitting all day, this may not be the job for you. So all again, just what you want. And again, just to remind you, the one thing for all of this is, attitude, attitude, attitude. So just, you have to kind of stay humble. There's so much to learn, and so many ways you can grow and develop it in this industry. But you have to know that there's always more to learn, that there's, have that hunger, for experience and for learning and for collaboration, right? So just something to remember, because I think some people come in and with a strong, I'm amazing attitude, and you probably are amazing. I'm sure you are amazing, but you can always learn more. And that's an attitude that employers really like to see. So attitude is everything. It's customer service. The client is always right. Just when you think you know everything, you find that there's always more you can learn. So any field within the cosmetology arts always takes years after school to truly master. If you are lucky enough to have a wonderful teacher as an apprentice, just soak in all of the knowledge you can. Always be professional. Always take professional development so that you're staying on top of the latest products, the latest trends, and the latest techniques. They're always changing, so it's you'll never get bored. You can always learn new things, and you can always showcase yourself in a different way for your clients, and let your clients be the first to know, right? They love that. So, and just remember to be patient, and enjoy all of the learning and innovation that you get along the way as you get your chance to shine. So the final thing that I just want to recommend for your application is please keep track of where you're applying. So if you're applying to jobs online, you want to send your job again as a PDF. And if you hyperlink. If you include links to your portfolio, make sure that it's hyperlinked. And if you get a call back from a company, it's important to remember what you told them about yourself and what the job description was and which resume you sent them, right? Because you may have several, you may be applying for different areas at the same time. So it's okay to have multiple resumes and put different things out. Just make sure you save them somewhere. So if you get that call, you know what it is that you told them and what it is that they're looking for. So, and they typically pull job descriptions off the website before you're going to get that call. So make sure you copy and paste that in a Word document or however you organize yourself. So, I know this is a lot of information and I know how hard it is to apply for opportunities. But I just want to let you know that SMC is here to support you with these efforts. I know I mentioned that salon experience is a great class that you can put the experience you gain there on your resume, and you get to practice your salon training on clients. Of course, you have to take all the prerequisites to be able to take this, but it is a great opportunity to build your experience and your portfolio. And also, you know, of course, career services can help answer basic questions about how to break into the field. And we have our academic counselors that can help you find the best classes to take to create a great portfolio of projects and be ready to apply for licensing and entering the world of work. So hopefully this has been helpful to you, and I will say good luck.